extremely difficult because words cannot reach the witness. And we can say something closer to the witness. The witness is actually the emptiness, and from where everything came into being. Because of that, it's considered as consciousness, because it has this knowledge which produces everything, which creates everything, maintains everything, and destroys everything. And that is considered as the deepest witness. So actually there is nothing, and it is beyond the scope of the mind. Our mind is created out of our interactions with the society. And so we understood, we have seen something in the very early childhood, and somebody said that, oh, this is a stone. So we created an idea of the stone, associated that idea with the matter which we have seen, and we understood that it is a stone. Next time we have seen a stone, we know that it's a stone. So all the things which are there in the mind is created out of this process. The two basic ingredients, as yesterday somebody was saying, these two words, like names and forms. Our mind is based on names and forms. And witness is beyond. So we don't have any language to portray this. And that's the difficulty in explaining about the witness. But masters were trying to lead people somewhere closer to this. I say this, I'm not saying this is an idea, it is beyond all ideas, beyond all concepts, it is beyond. So we cannot describe it at all. When I say emptiness, I use the word emptiness. It seems that you all have understood it. Emptiness cannot be understood by the mind. Mind is something. This something cannot understand the emptiness. So only by dropping the mind, you get into the emptiness. And then you understand what it is. And you understand it on the basis of becoming the emptiness. So the mediation of the mind is not required to be in the witness. So that is why it is so difficult to explain this phenomenon. It's not phenomenon. I cannot use any words. That's the difficulty. When I say, as I said, when I say emptiness, how we understand emptiness? Immediately, the mind creates an idea of emptiness. And we try to understand that idea. We are not understanding the emptiness. But we create an idea of emptiness and then we feel that I understood. So we are satisfied. All these understanding needs to be dropped, including the mind, to be the witness. So for that we are trying something. No tools can take us there. But we are working with the mind, taming the mind, suggesting few things to the mind, and finally we give the suggestion to drop the mind, and the mind may take it. And if it takes it, the mind is dropped, and then you cannot explain what it is, because it is beyond all kinds of explanations. So the masters, old Indian masters, they were trying to explain this. Every time a master tried to explain it, what happened to them was they failed. And then they regained their calmness by using these three words, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. When they try to explain, there happen some vibrations in the mind. And then creating another vibration to the mind, they try to drop. That's why they almost all the mantras ends with the Shanti mantra, which is Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti means peace, peace, peace. By trying to communicate, we get into a state of turbulence. And then that is recognized that I am in the state of turbulence, and then drop it. Regaining. All words are failing now. It's very difficult to use words. And then you are the emptiness. There is no more words. There is no more explanation. Nothing can portray it. But the masters have said to lead you somewhere closer to that. And so they said, it's everywhere. It is near and far off. It cannot be wet by water. It cannot be set fire with fire. You cannot cut it. You cannot destroy it. It is there always. It is everywhere and nowhere. And it's provoking our mind to explore it, and finally the mind understands that I cannot do this. And the mind fails. When the mind fails, it drops. Then you are. So everything, all the books which we read, or all the teachings which we hear, are not really you understand, taking us to the witness is an impossibility. But we try something to tame the mind in a way that the mind can be really pushed into the unknown. Thereby, the mind drops, and then you are. So it's very difficult to explain. You understand, every time, anything which we say, the mind creates some idea and we try to live that idea. Including the idea of spirituality. We say spiritual, and we feel that I am spiritual. And I am satisfied because I am spiritual. This is a peripheral game the mind is doing. Mind has to do this peripheral game, otherwise the mind will be dead. We don't want our mind to be dead. And the mind itself doesn't want to commit suicide. And so it goes on creating ideas. It tries to live that idea. So far it does it, we will not be able to enter into the unknown. It's called unknown, actually. It can never be understood by the mind. Dropping the mind is the story. But we are preparing for that. For example, in the practice which I was suggesting is also a small technique. Like I asked you to look at the toe. In the beginning, maybe the listener is not looking. Maybe a few times I am saying, look at the toe, feel the toe, look at the toe, feel the toe. Then a person comes to look at the toe and feel the toe. Then I ask to look at the ankles. The person starts to look at the ankle. Then slowly, he starts to obey commands. The mind, which is listening, starts to obey a command. And look at the knees, look at the thighs, look at the anus, look at the genital, look at the navel, look, goes on following some command. And then finally, we go on looking, look at the tip of the nose, tip of the tongue, tip of the nose, both the eyes, bhrumathyam. Look at the forehead, look at the mind, and look at the gap. And you unknowingly look, the mind drops. It's a cheating technique. It's trying to cheat the mind. It's like army technique. In the army training, they do left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, about time. Then about time. Left, right, fire, and then suddenly fire. Otherwise, how can a person fire another human being? So it's a similar technique. So far, we are living with the mind. The witness remain unknown. And then we are preparing ourselves either by satisfying the mind to calm down the mind or surprising the mind to enter into the other side. And that is the techniques many different systems have evolved. Or you were asked to go on thinking about something particular, and then the mind starts to go on thinking that mantra or idol or a figure or something. And then the mind forget all the rest of the things for the time being. And then this point needs to be taken out. And then when you take out that point, and then there is nothing. This is so much of a cheating technique in a way to surprise the mind to drop it. Otherwise, we will not do it. And so we try to leave the realm of mind, and we have no idea whether there is something beyond that. How can we get into the unknown? So far, we don't know what is there. So by surprise, one day, if we get there and we understand that, this is, and then you may remind there, it will become easier for the person. So words are very limited to explain the unexplainable. So it is called the unexplainable. So all the attempt which a person is doing to explain will lead the person to a state of restlessness. And then to regain, they say, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It stops. Thank you. I'm unable to explain.